Uh,
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. I just saw this comment. Um, okay, everyone. So I'm assuming that you're ready to go, Golden Boy.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, well, I want to thank each and every one of you all so far for joining in with us tonight. And our apologies for the lateness of the hour. However, we did want to come together so that we can discuss and talk about something that we feel is of great importance. Um, First of all, um, let's go ahead and go to the supreme laws. Um, this is the supreme laws for the government of the United House of Prayer for All People. And we've been abiding by this for the longest. Within the supreme laws, under Article 6, I believe it is, um, and Section C, it is Article 6, okay? Article 6, Section C says man and woman should not live. uh, One second. Here we go. Man and woman shall not live together unless they are married. If such a rumor occurs that they are not married, there shall be an investigation. Now, we didn't put that up so that we could put a spotlight on any individual for what they may or may not have in their home, but we put that spotlight up on that particular portion of the law and the supreme laws that govern the organization because there's a particular word there called rumors. And we wanted to draw attention to that particular part of the law pertaining to that word rumors. The reason why I wanted to touch on the word rumors is because the these particular laws that you've heard from us in the times past, we've said that these are not actual laws, that these are orders that's been written by bishops, but they're posing as laws. And that statement that I've made has yet to be determined as true and valid by the outside regulating agencies. Now, I want to say anyway that though I have shared that these laws are orders posing as laws, the fact of the matter is that we as an organization have been abiding by these things, these statements written in these booklets, to include the supreme law for many decades. When talking about that word rumor, I believe that the word rumor was put there to allow lawfully individuals to look into statements that are being made, regardless of whether or not they're factual or whether it is just a rumor. The good thing about being able to talk about and discuss things openly revolving around gossip and or rumors is it allows us to be able to get to the bottom of things, to either confirm those rumors or to deny them. If a rumor can be denied after an investigation is held, then what that does is it allows us to preserve the image, the name, and the reputation of any individual who's involved or identified in a rumor or gossip. In the event that an investigation is held and the investigation determines that it is not a rumor or a gossip, that the evidence did come forward to confirm such rumors and gossip to be actual, well, then the benefit there is it allows us as leaders or members or individuals to hold people accountable for their behavior or their actions, especially if those behaviors and those actions violate laws, policy, or procedure. When we discover the creation of a rumor or gossip, it is best to deal with it immediately. And again, the purpose of that is so that we're able to put anything to rest and call a rumor exactly what it is, nothing more than a rumor or nothing more than sheer gossip. And the hope in doing that is that we're able to allow individuals to retain respectability to their name or their image or their reputation. If that rumor or gossip does carry any weight and evidence shows that indeed there were some things that were done to violate laws, procedures, or policies, then catching it early allows us to also deal with the problem on hand and either reprimand individuals involved, penalize individuals involved, warn individuals involved, but to act quickly to seize that situation, to control that situation so it does not get out of hand, and to respond openly so that the members of any institutional organization can also continue to trust in the leadership or those who are in positions of governance by holding individuals accountable. That way, membership or patrons can continue to trust that when a situation comes up, the leaders or individuals will do something about it. With that in mind, I want to once again say good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for taking the time out to join us. And we hope to not be too long tonight. But I jotted down a few notes so that I would remember certain things and not forget everything that I wanted to discuss. Anyway, we come before you with the sense of responsibility, the sense of concern and commitment to the future of our organization and the people who make up its community. We recognize that many members have recently become aware of reports, discussions, and some materials that may be circulating that have raised questions and concerns about individuals that may be serving in positions of leadership. Before anything else, I want to acknowledge the emotions that many people may be experiencing right now. Some people are confused. Some people are disappointed. Some people are frustrated. Some people may be angry. Others may be worried about the future of the organization that they have invested years, even decades of their lives supporting. And some families may feel embarrassed, humiliated, hurt, or burdened by the public attention surrounding these types of matters or incidents. To those individuals and families, we want to say that we know that your concerns are seen, your feelings are valid, and we recognize the impact that situations like these can actually have on an entire community. Our purpose tonight is not to attack anyone. It is, however, um, to advocate for accountability, transparency, integrity, and the protection of every member who places trust in this organization. This video, this live session is not to create division, it's not to spread rumors or to encourage hostility in any shape, way, or form. We believe that accountability is not an attack on an organization. Accountability is how an organization remains healthy. Transparency is not a threat to any organization. Transparency is actually how trust is maintained. Open discussion is not an enemy of unity. Open discussion is also how difficult issues are addressed before they become larger problems. As members, supporters, leaders, and families, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what position you serve in, we all have a responsibility to protect the integrity of the organization and the well-being of those who participate in it. That responsibility includes asking difficult questions whenever it's necessary. That responsibility includes expecting standards to be applied consistently and across the board. That responsibility includes ensuring that no individual is considered beyond accountable or accountability because of their title, their position, their influence, or their popularity. The standards expected of members should also be expected of its leaders. The standards expected of volunteers should also be expected of pastors, of elders, evangelists, ministers, board members, or any individual who serves in a position of any type of authority, albeit great or small. Leadership is a privilege. Leadership comes with a strong degree of trust. Leadership requires a higher level of responsibility because leaders, no matter who you're over or what you're leading in, leaders influence the lives of others. For that reason, whenever concerns arise involving anyone in leadership, members have a right to expect those concerns to be addressed appropriately, fairly, and transparently. Many of you have reached out to us expressing concern about the direction of the organization. Others have expressed concern about how issues have been handled in the past. And yet still others have asked whether policies are sufficient to protect members and families as we attempt to move forward. These are all reasonable questions. They all deserve thoughtful answers, and they deserve more than silence and nothing being said in response to these questions. As we move forward, we want to encourage every member to remain diligent, but also aware. Pay attention, stay informed, ask questions. Become familiar with the policies and procedures and laws and rules that govern the organization. We want to encourage you to participate in open discussion, remain engaged in matters that affect the future of the community, as well as learning from the past. At the same time, we want to specifically encourage parents, grandparents, guardians, and caregivers to remain attentive to the well being of children and minors entrusted to your care. Every organization that serves families must prioritize the safety and protection of young people. We want to prioritize not only that category of members, but we should also be just as committed in the safety and the well-being of anyone else, including and at times especially our seniors who are also vulnerable to being taken advantage of. Parents should know who is interacting with their children. Parents should understand the policies that govern all of our youth activities. Parents should be able to feel comfortable asking questions. Parents should also expect transparency whenever concerns arise. Parents should never feel pressured to remain silent when something appears inappropriate or concerning. Protecting children is never a controversial issue. It is a responsibility, and that responsibility belongs to each and every one of us. We encourage families to maintain open communication with your children. Teach them appropriate boundaries. Teach them that they can speak openly when something makes them uncomfortable. Teach them that their concerns will be taken seriously. And if not by those in power, then certainly by you and other advocates that are around you that you may not yet be aware of. Teach them that their voices absolutely do matter. An informed and engaged community is one of the strongest safeguards against misconduct of any kind. We also want to emphasize the importance of respectful dialogue. Open dialogue, yes, but respectful dialogue. Difficult conversations are necessary, especially revolving around situations that are as important as this. Those conversations, however, should be rooted in facts, integrity, and a genuine desire to actually improve, not tear down, but improve our organization. We should not allow frustration to become hostility. We should not allow concern to become rumors. We should not allow disagreement to become personal attacks. We can advocate for reform while also remaining respectful. We can seek answers while also remaining fair. We can demand accountability while also honoring the dignity of each and every person involved. As many of you know, we have been working diligently to identify areas where policies and procedures and governance practices can be strengthened throughout our organization. We believe organizations grow stronger when they are willing to evaluate themselves honestly. No organization that I'm aware of is perfect. No leadership team that I'm aware of is perfect. No system that I'm aware of is perfect. But every organization should be willing to improve. Every organization's leadership should be willing to improve, to at the very least hold itself accountable for the behaviors and the conduct of all individuals in any leadership role. Every organization should be willing to learn from mistakes. Every organization should be willing to strengthen safeguards that protect its members as well as preserve trust. That is why we continue advocating for greater transparency. That is why we continue advocating for better accountability measures. This is why we continue advocating for policies that ensure concerns are addressed consistently and fairly. This is also why we continue advocating for procedures that promote confidence among members and the public alike. We understand that public perception matters. The actions of leaders affect not only themselves, but also the reputation of the organization and the experiences of every single member connected to it. When concerns are ignored, trust suffers. When questions go unanswered, confidence declines. When accountability appears inconsistent, credibility is weakened. But when organizations respond honestly and transparently, as well as responsibly, trust can and oftentimes is rebuilt. That is the future that we are working towards. We're committed to pursuing reform through lawful, respectful, and constructive means. We're committed to advocating for policies that prioritize safety, accountability, and transparency. We want to be committed to encouraging the members to remain informed and engaged, to ensure that concerns are addressed rather than ignored. But most importantly, we're committed to helping build an organization that future generations can trust. To every member listening tonight, we want to ask you for your continued support. Support the pursuit of truth, support accountability, support transparency, support reform, support policies that protect families and children, support efforts to strengthen governance and integrity, and support one another during what may be a difficult season. Change that we're looking for does not happen overnight. Meaningful reform often requires patience, persistence, and courage. History has shown that organizations improve when good people refuse to look away from difficult issues and instead choose to address them with honesty and integrity. We believe that this community is capable of that kind of leadership. We believe our members care deeply about the future of this organization. And we believe that by working together, we can create a stronger culture of accountability, transparency, safety, and trust. All of those things said, we are left, yet and still, with things being done that many people don't approve of. We're still left with things being done that many people have said have always been done. We're left with a bunch of questions. We're left with a bunch of emotions. And we're left with yet things not being done to hold individuals accountable. We want to encourage everybody, even though these types of things seem to still continue to be done, we want to encourage everyone to rally support for reformation so we can help reform and change the direction of things in our organization to go from a lack of accountability or no accountability to move towards holding each and everyone accountable for any of their behavior or actions and conduct. We want to support accountability while also avoiding statements pertaining to any issue that could be interpreted as declaring specific individuals guilty of any type of misconduct before the facts have been formally established. Our hope is that investigations can be carried out, that things can be done, that certain measures will be taken, and it is demonstrated and shown through those courses of action that the leadership is indeed taking account and holding individuals accountable for behavior as well as conduct. When it comes to the rumors that we talked about in our laws, we want to also pay attention to the fact that these rumors revolving around anyone and everyone, no matter what position they hold, no matter how high the leadership is, no matter how small their role is, that we will do what is necessary to make sure that people are held accountable for the things that they do in the violation of our laws, our policies, our procedures, as well as the laws of the land. And yes, all of these measures ought to be done for the protection of not only the organization, but also for the protection of the members. With that in mind, I want to say thank you all for listening. And I want to ask if there's anything that Gldnboy you would like to share, anything you'd like to ask, or any comments you'd like to make.
Yeah. Um, there are. And I know we're not going to talk about names or point out exactly who we're talking about, but just to kind of help out some of the people that have questions, let's just say that leaders should not be circulating in videos amongst um, young men involving themselves in things that are thought to be shameful um, in the eyes of this organization, or um, things that would normally get you potentially set down for or silenced. And we can't continue to prop up leaders that are willing to hold us to a standard that they are not themselves willing to hold themselves to or their own household. And so, I just think it's very important that with this video actually floating around the organization. Oh, and by the way, I have seen it. It is a real video. But just so that you know, I'm not going to go into details. But I will let you know that what I saw in this video warrants every parent in the organization. If you have youth in your household, you need to ensure that they are never unsupervised, never out of your sight, um, and that you can always lay your eyes on them. They need to be within arm's reach because the individuals that are in these positions of power have direct access to the youth in this organization nationwide. Okay, whether it be through the playing of instruments or because of their other leadership role, which now apparently extends nationwide as well. So just keep in mind that if you wouldn't allow um, certain things to be done to your children, um, then keep them safe. Keep them with you, keep them close to you. Don't chance it. And that's all I have to say on it at this particular moment. But I will tell you this, this is not the last time that I will be having this conversation.
With that said, why do you think, or better yet, do you think at all, it's um, advisable? Do you think it's advisable for parents and guardians to have open conversations with their children about personal safety and boundaries when it comes to other individuals anywhere, as well as within the organization?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought this point up because I did, in fact, reach out to my family members today that I know have close affiliation with the individual that I saw performing these acts in this video. And I just asked the question, is this the reason why you no longer want to be affiliated with this auxiliary? Has anyone made any inappropriate comments, statements, passes at you? That's the question that's on the table because even though you are now a young adult, you came up playing with or playing on this auxiliary from the time you were knee high to a bullfrog. So the fact that these people have had you've been in such close proximity, it's worth the question. And especially knowing the character of certain individuals, some young men and women these days, some of them are quiet. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them are introverted and may not feel like they are in a safe space enough to be able to open up and be vulnerable. And just because you're my child or I'm your child, it doesn't mean that as much as you and I love each other, it doesn't mean that the individual feels like the space is safe enough to be that vulnerable. They have to know that the information that they're sharing, they're going to be able to be handled with care. So and as you all can see, I'm handling this topic tonight with a lot of care. Um, and that is intentional. But that does not take away from the weight, the depth that this goes to, and the severity of what I can give a real account to what I am now a witness of. It's one thing to hear rumors, it's another thing to see it for yourself. And I'll leave that there.
What are, in your opinion, um, some warning signs that a child may be uncomfortable or experiencing something that they probably don't know how to talk about?
That's a great question. Because for me, experiencing certain things in youth, um, not related to this organization at all,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was fearful of the lady. And I never felt comfortable to say anything about that particular situation until I was an adult. And I never felt a level of comfort until I was out on my own, and I had already found my own voice before this was something I was able to actually discuss. And also after having gone through a situation that I made mention of in regards to an individual that's a member, an active member of this organization. So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, to answer your question, I think it can be very hard to notice the signs,
Hmm.
but just be aware of them shutting down, being introverted, or not being their normal selves. Also, another sign could be giving away items, that they normally wouldn't have, because then now you're showing other signs. Are you planning on checking out? Do we need to be worried about aside, since we can't quite say the word, but mental health awareness being the month last month, that is a really important topic, and this even we have to handle with care because we don't fully know what the state of anyone's being is that's, associated with all of this. But at the end of the day, we do have to hold folks accountable still. So, just be aware, be alert. Any slight change, question it, question everything. Question, 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 question. It's the refusing to question that can bite us in the rear end later, because it's like, dog, if I would have just asked the question, or they say hindsight is 2020, and
Hmm.
it's like, dog it, I knew it, or and it's like, rather than allowing that to be the story, if you ever, and women, y'all have an intuition that just seems to be unbreakable. And for us who have a relationship, when Holy Spirit gives you a check in your spirit, do not question it. Look into it. Ask the questions. Ask the deeper questions and find out the whys behind the whats. If there's a new action, hey, why are you doing that now? What's going on? Talk to me. Let's get to the bottom of it, and let's figure out how we can alleviate whatever it is that's causing you to, experience whatever it is that's making you act out this way. You
Hmm.
know.
Now, with that in mind, when it comes to the organization itself, if you, being a member, learn of situations like this, my last question, what would you hope for and look for coming from the organization's leadership?
So honestly, in a situation like this, um, there's a few ways to handle this, and a few ways where you might see other organizations of the same size or capacity handle something like this.
But
But
as a
first and
member, but as a member,
what
what
would
would
I
you?
like to see?
Yes, because we
Okay.
know that we have extensive backgrounds, right, and
Hmm.
dealing with all types of situations. But as
Yeah.
a member, what would you want to see coming from leadership with situations such as this, something this sensitive?
Something something just like this.
Hmm.
This fella needs to be stripped of all credentials. He needs to be a brother. He needs to not be allowed to have any interaction with any youth. Number one, because he's not living in his truth. And to me, it strongly suggests that you're just not integral. And so, because of those traits and values that one tends to live by, I think that would fully disqualify them from being an elder or an apostle, even a deacon for that matter. Um, hey, if you want to play on the bands, cool, but you're gonna have accountability partners, and we're gonna be on you to make sure that you're, on the up and up, etc. But if and this individual, let me say, I'm not making any accusations, all right? that there has been anything with this individual that I saw in this video, that suggests they've had any issues with any minors. I'm speaking about the organization as a whole. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because it seems to be a culture, and there is a lot of interactions with children who tend to be unsupervised. So, so I just want to make sure that with that in mind, there's no way we can't make that the topic of discussion. We adults even sometimes may not have the ability to fight for ourselves. We may freeze in the moment just from shock or whatever the case is. But what about our children who
Hmm.
have whose brains don't even really know what fight or flight is right now? You know what I mean? So, um, yeah. That's what I have on that.
And with that said, would you expect that type of penalty for individuals that are involved in behavior like this or anything else that would be violations? Would you expect that penalty to also go up the chain?
All the way to the top. All the way to the top. You know, judges, you know, um in state, when you have the talking about the separation of church and state, so meaning state and federal government, right? The
Hmm.
judges have to obey the laws as well, and they are thought of as the ones who live by the book more so than anyone else.
That
And
part.
so they are held to a much higher standard because they know that they can't have one slip up. And what do? You supposed to tell on yourself, but it's supposed to never happen because you're the judge, and you're supposed to be the most knowledgeable on what these laws and doctrines are over on the church side, because this is still a government, just a church government, and we still experience all the same types of politics and things of that nature in church, just like in state and federal government. So like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a lot. It's weighty. It's lengthy, and I just had a little brain fart just trying to process it all.
Yeah, should the penalties go all the way up the chain?
Yes, definitely. They should go to the chain because all the way up to the top of the chain, simply because you are held to that higher standard. Um, And everything that you do as the head, whatever spirit you're functioning in, is going to flow down all the way to the least of them. It's going to flow throughout the entire body. And so, whether it's love that's flowing down, or whether it's hatred, whether it is some type of ungodly act that may have potentially had a city destroyed, and named after it, certain acts, then hmm,
Yeah. Now we have, I paused that way for a moment because I was trying to think of how to phrase this statement. We have individuals that are of the opinion that these types of things should immediately be reported. Problem with this is when you're dealing with individuals that are over 18, um, you have the question of consent. Another problem with this is you have to ask the question of whether or not we're talking about corporate organization issue or religious organization issue. I keep making the separation and the distinction between the church, quote unquote, church versus the corporation, 501c3. The bishop has to do with the quote unquote church. The CEO has to do with the 501c3. Anybody in positions over any of the members, even though you are in quote unquote the church organization, the law of the land looks at you with a fiduciary duty, no matter who you are. Now, without going too much further into this tonight, um, can you say, without me going into any drawn out commentary, can you say that this is one more thing that should draw attention to the need for reform and any change in anything pertaining to the leadership of our organization?
Okay, so um, I'm just going to be very candid and say there are rumors about our current leader that we have spoken about on this channel. Um, and there are rumors that we have not spoken about on this channel or even amongst ourselves that are just well known around the organization amongst old folk or older men and women as well as younger folk.
Right.
And there's no way that this will be fixed without reforming the governing of this organization. Everything has to be reformed to fix what corruption has been done via through starting with the Constitution, because that's where most of the corruption starts. And so, yes, to answer your question, the Constitution itself needs to be reformed. That way I can be kind of clear on what I'm talking about when I say that,
Okay.
because someone may take that and say, oh, well, he's saying that the organization needs to be broken up. No, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not saying nothing like that. What I'm saying is we're talking about the governing documents as it pertains to this organization and how they've been manipulated and then enforced onto the people rather than the people ratifying our governing documents and things of that nature and actually having a say so. So yes, it does. It needs to be turned upside down as far as that's concerned, and power shifted back to the people.
So that everyone understands, when he mentioned the term ratified, he's saying that in order for a law to be enforceable by law, for a rule that is put into play, a law, a policy, procedure, no matter what it is, before any institution can hold its members to this rule that they call a law, it has to first be accepted, discussed, and voted on by the members of that organization. If they have not discussed it openly, understood how it changes their current law, if they have not voted on it with that knowledge, then it has not been ratified. And there are several institutions that have laws that the people never ratified because the people never had any involvement in the creating of those laws. So, with that said, we'll go ahead and read the comments and then go from there. You good with that?
Oh yeah, sounds great to me. We can start right at the top.
Okay. Golden Boy says hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Zalika says hello. Golden Boy, we just finished the call. Brother Lewis is coming right up. Um, Members, be wise with your children. Um, Absolutely. Ms. Corrine says, good evening, everyone. Golden Boy says, never unsupervised and stay close by your children in this organization. Jamal says, good evening. Ms. Corrine says, that's got to be Deacon Macaulay from Sweet River, Mallard Creek. I'm sure you're talking about the music that was playing. Homeboy says, sure is, aka Little David. Said to have a spirit like David. The Lies of Him and Her. Welcome, everyone. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button to show your support. Don't forget to set your notifications bell to stay updated. Email address, we stand for right 2024 at gmail.com. Thank you again. The Lies of Him and Her. We appreciate you as always. Wally, hello and peace to everyone. Yet another day, for we are all blessed to be amongst one another and God's glory. Brother Lewis, thank you for all you do. Let's get it. Absolutely. And Wally continues to say, okay, this music almost got me moving over here. I was tired, but starting to get a little twitch. Miss Min says, nothing surprises me anymore. Golden Boy says, yeah, this one today. Miss Mintz, yeah, so sad. Golden Boy says, very disheartening. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Zalika says, hello. Oh, that's a repeat. Let me go down. So Wally says that Golden Boy and Miss Mintz, disheartening, shocking, unbelievable, embarrassment that is the organization's energy at this moment. Yes, there are quite a few things that's going around that has been an embarrassment for the entire organization and its members due to things that involve leadership or individuals revolving around leadership. Things that could easily be dealt with and resolved by leadership. And there's questions as to why things are not being done or things don't appear to be done by leadership. Ms. Mint says, yes, extremely embarrassing, and it's getting worse and worse. I'll never look at church the same again, Ms. Mint says. Yes, this is unfortunate, and quite a few of the members are looking into other things while waiting for certain things to be done by our organization to change the course of what we've been dealing with. Wiley says, facts, not until every spot and wrinkle are revealed and removed. Ms. Mintz, Wiley, exactly. Ms. Mintz says, yes, Uncle Lou, break it down, sir. Break it down, sir. Yeah, we have some work to do. Alicia Heath, good to see you. I still don't understand the end game. Brother Lewis and others, we are 100 years strong and getting stronger every year. At this point in time, Alicia, you may be one of the few individuals remaining that still believes that. It's not 100 years strong, but 100 years of secrecy and 100 years of lies, manipulations, and deception. And Alicia, we love you. But if you don't begin to look at what's in front of you, if you don't begin to understand the truths of what it is we're putting out, then you will end up finding yourself not only proven wrong, but with no organization whatsoever. Because, quite frankly, Organizations like this are getting shut down every everywhere we look and turn. Organizations leadership have been going to jail. I haven't talked about it. I've been getting several storylines, headlines, and storylines of organizations' leaders being arrested, being taken to jail for corruption, and being involved in things that are uh, dealing with non-compliance to the statutes of the regulating agencies around the country. And if they are arresting and imprisoning other religious leaders, I don't understand, Alicia, what makes you think that they will not do that with this religious leader. So look at the information in front of you so that you can assist by helping us turn things around in here. Because for you members who are still supportive of these leaders involved in this corruption and the things that's being hidden and covered up on a regular, for those things that may end up being proven by outside agencies, then you're not doing anything to help the problem. You're actually doing everything necessary to uh,
Exacerbate the problem.
right. Say that again.
To exacerbate the problem, make it
Exactly.
worse unintentionally.
Exactly.
Unintentionally. I
Right.
know that that is not the intention, but that's what happens.
If you endure a thief in the neighborhood and people know who it is and no one reports him, they're not removed from that neighborhood. What's going to happen? Are they not going to continue to steal and steal more and more and more? What about someone who's attacking young women, sneaking into their windows? Are they not going to continue the behavior? Are they going to be mindful of protecting at all women's anything? Or are they just going to continue taking what they want to take from women, whether or not the women want anything or not?
Hmm.
Right? They're going to continue.
It's
Go
it's
ahead.
something about those endorphins, like, the things that you find pleasure in can become very addictive. And that's why you have folks that have, gone through certain therapies to undo certain addictions. You know what I mean? Like, um behaviors can be um addicting as well. So just keep that in mind.
You just brought back something to my remembrance. Remember the video that I referred people to last year pertaining to the predators? And there was one individual on this documentary, and
Hmm.
they asked him if he had done this type of thing to any other children. He was caught with one child. The man said that before he was caught, he had actually committed this type of behavior with hundreds of children.
Sheesh.
And not on one occasion, but many occasions, multiple occasions, with many of the children that he had abused. The problem here, Alicia, is people getting caught doing something wrong. All we know is that about that one time.
That's
We
it.
don't know about how many other times, how many other individuals that could be referred to as a survivor or a victim, right? But these types of things we have to hold people accountable for. Let me just ask you straight out: do you support people abusing other people? And I'm going to continue reading the comments, but let us know: do you support people who take advantage of and who abuse other people? And I'm going to continue in the comments, but answer that question for me if you would, Alicia. Um, Gldnboy says the growth of our organization is a matter of opinion. It, to me, has always been much bigger than now and only getting smaller. And we don't have online viewing, nor do we have online giving. um, I would agree with that assessment and also confirm that we are definitely getting smaller and smaller and smaller to include many congregations now around the organization that only has a pastor and the pastor's family attending. And that is, uh, this again is factual. Wally says at Elisha, now that's funny, stronger and stronger every year. I've been in this thing for 54 years. I doubt that statement very seriously. Right? And many others as well. Wally, thank you for that statement. That comment. Gldnboy says, Amen, Brother Lewis, to what I was reading. Ms. Corrine says, I've been a member for 66 years, and I know it is not stronger than ever before. Just simply not true. Thank you, Ms. Corrine. And Alicia, it was a drop of church attendance was down since COVID in the USA. As a whole, crowds are growing since post-COVID. I really am interested now in where this information is coming from. All around the organization, our reports are the exact opposite. Miss Mintz, baby girl at Elisha Heath. Unfortunately, the United House of Prayer has lost hundreds, if not thousands, of members through the years. And I find those numbers to actually be very, very modest. Um, yeah, we've all over the organization, minimally thousands, as you said, if not thousands. But yeah, we're certainly not growing. Gldnboy says tens, even hundreds of thousands over the last 100 years. Yeah, we've seen pictures of what it would look like in the early years of the organization. Compare those pictures to today, it is a complete embarrassment. Um, Ms. Mintz, I've been a member for 40 years. It's definitely not stronger at all. Elisha says 2 decades ago, an average of 42% of U.S. adults attended religious services every week or nearly every week. A decade ago, the figure fell to 38%, and it is currently at 30%. It's a decline in attendance for all religions in USA. And I would agree with that. I absolutely would. But it's because many of these people in other organizations are also finding out that their leaders have been lying to them. Many people all around the country as well as the world are abandoning the idea of quote unquote church because they're finding that the leaders are stealing money, that the leaders are not living up to the standards that they should be living up to, that the leaders are living a double life, if not a triple life, and that the leaders have been involved in things that the organization knew nothing of whatsoever. And now we're at that point where leaders of these different institutions are being arrested and thrown into jail left and right. And these are facts. These are facts. Gldnboy says, oh, yes, a decline across the board, but more in the house of prayer, in my opinion. But just my opinion. Looks that way, too, when I see really old videos as well, comparing the crowd sizes. Excuse me, is what Gldnboy is referring to. Ms. Corrine says, adults listen to our children. Never think they're lying because someone is a well-known person, so-called big name in the organization. Yes. Many people decide whether or not they're going to believe what their children say, depending on who it is that their child tells them about. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Seen it. Seen it. Seen it. Seen it.
based on their popularity, based on uh, their likability, right? Um, some parents, because they favor certain individuals, they take other individuals' reputation over their child's word without ever confronting the individual, only to find out later that individuals not only have done things to their child, but they've done things to other people's children. Uh, and again, this is why we're now in that niche where we're talking about mental health. And we're going to be going into this subject quite a bit more. Um, and mental health as well. Alicia says it's a decline everywhere since COVID. People just didn't come back. So I don't agree that it's a Uhop issue. People are turning away from God in mass in the USA. Memorial Day was packed, largest crowd post COVID. Um, we heard you say that before, but again, so many people disagree. But uh, I'll say again, even if the house of prayer is gaining momentum and members, if the congregations are growing, what does that say about anything if the leaders are not following the practices of the word? If the leaders are not teaching the teachings of the word? If the leaders are not actively engaged in the doctrines and the philosophies of the word, what does it matter? Listen, you can have a hip hop, a rock, or any type of concert that's going to draw 30, 40,000 people. Many concerts draw 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people easily. What does that matter regarding spirituality? That doesn't mean that the people who's holding the concert are doing anything right or leading anybody into eternal life. So crowd size is not such an topic of discussion for us, other than the fact that to see the crowd size dwindling is a huge issue for House of Prayer members, because we know for a fact that the crowds are normally so tight that you have to squeeze through people in the aisles. So for us to talk about the sizes of the crowds uh, getting smaller, it's only to share with the listeners that the impact that's being made based on what it is that we're putting out, the information we're putting out, is so significant that people are no longer coming to services. It's an indicator for us that people are listening, is my point. But if the crowd, if there's 10,000 people Memorial Day weekend, that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that you have 10,000 people who are in support of wrongdoing, of pics and favoritism, of friendships, while not caring whatsoever about right being done or the teachings of the word being held to. And you can find that type of person all day long everywhere. Many people are eagerly willing to be involved in wrongdoing. So just because we got people who support Mr. Cunningham, my question to them is, are you living right? Are they living right? If you're in support of Mr. Cunningham, are you living right? Because people who support people who are protecting wrong or involved in wrongdoing, it's because they're not living right. And the scripture talks about this. People would rather hear a lie than the truth. So if there's 20, 30, 100,000 people following him, that does not matter at all for what it is that we are sharing. Our intent is to give people the truth as to what's going on in the organization so that we can hopefully bring about change. Um, Golden Boy says high energy, but we didn't see the numbers others saw. Alicia, that's why I'm having a hard time following the logic here. At Golden Boy, do you mean the parade? Well, right now we're talking about leaders that have videos floating around that suggest they shouldn't be in leadership. Golden Boy says parade was light, but can't really say that was because of rain, though. A lot of people saying because of the rain, people didn't go out. But let's talk about that for a moment. We've had many parades where it rained and people showed out in huge numbers. We've had many parades in this organization and people showed out in huge numbers. I was one, my wife is two. Um, and for us, it was scheduled to rain, even though it was very, very light mist. But I've been in parades where the clouds are dark, rain is forecast, and people came out in droves anyway. I have said, and so have others, that don't believe that the numbers were not that large because of rain. In fact, it was stated, I was told by Mr. Cunningham that come out anyway, and if it rains, he said he's going to pray that the rain stops. But if it does rain anyway, then we'll get baptized by the rain. That going out should have, I know in times past it would have, encouraged everybody to come out. The bishop said that we're going to get baptized in the rain. That should have been it. Everybody living in those apartments, in those houses, anybody that's a member of the house of prayer within a 100-mile radius would have driven and even further than that so they can be there for that parade, knowing that it was said that you're going to get baptized in the rain.
I was about to say, it's 400 miles or so just from the mother house in Charlotte to DC. So I know my family members in Charlotte, they would have been one way.
Right? Had they heard
Hmm.
the bishop say we're going to get baptized,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But I'm of strong opinion that people not only did not march because they no longer believe in the doctrines of the organization or the leaders of the organization. Um, Not just about marching. There's many people that I'm aware of that did not even go to DC because they don't believe in the leaders any longer. And they certainly did not want to go to Washington in order to honor men where people are coming out and giving their testimony that these men did things to them that not only does the word teach against, but that they should literally be in jail for.
Absolutely.
People said, I'm not going to be a part of honoring them openly, marching by
Absolutely.
to salute a house where little children went through all kinds of horrors. We're marching by. We're
Hmm.
going to salute this house. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, Alicia, it's simply you're not keeping up with what's going on. Um, Said it was given impact to the nonstop rain for the parade. Served as the largest crowd post COVID percent facts. Who in leadership? Um, Wally at Alicia. The logic here is simple here. Who are you going to call when you go to glory? Addie? Yeah, that part. We've talked about that too. Um, it's, as Wally said, it's real simple. It's Addie or it's our Heavenly Father and His Son and the set apart spirit. The man that we've come to know, the men in those positions, literally can do nothing for the people. Nothing. whatsoever. Nothing pertaining to the spirit. And people are now waking up to understand this, especially to see involvement, alleged involvement in so many crimes and so much corruption. So, again,
Well, I'm alleging that two particular leaders at the top, I suggest that maybe they call each other Addy, but that's just a suggestion.
uh, uh, we want to try.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. My apologies.
We
My
understand.
apologies.
We understand.
Woo, you know,
We understand.
forgive me.
Um, but y'all, you
I
need to
only, I only, I only made that suggestion because certain individuals are now the Assistant General Secretary of the General Assembly, and congratulations. Woo, 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 woo. But it does leave room to make, you know, to draw speculation. And so therefore, rumors like that suggest that maybe an investigation should be opened by maybe a
keep in
outside.
mind, though, Golden Boy. Keep in
Oh,
mind, Golden
uh-huh.
Boy. A lot of these things we're going to be coming back to later.
Oh, all right. Zipping
Yeah.
it.
um, and this is what I'm saying, Alicia. You have to keep up. There's been so many things that we're getting into that we're taking, consideration of. And what we are doing is, quite frankly, what your leaders they should be doing, but you don't see them doing anything, and neither do we. And this is the problem. Um, and Golden Boy says, "I got you." Just the first person I heard say that. But stay tuned. We're sharing more on this live about this. Alicia says that Golden Boy, that's the truth. Service was jam packed. Parade, yes, but the rain was nonstop. Alicia says, what are the issues? Golden Boy, I mean, it sounded lit and packed for the service, but we mean inside and out, cried Styles, etc. Alicia, help me understand. Catholic Church settled for over $1 billion with proven facts of misconduct. Um, Alicia says, Golden Boy, I'm telling you 100% the crowd was the largest since post COVID. Golden Boy is for all people. I've seen many preachers sat down. Please share with us, Alicia, who have you seen sat down for misconduct? At this point, it simply sounds like you're making things up. On this channel, we've provided a lot of evidence to support different claims, but people on this channel will call out fallacy. And like I said, at this point, it just sounds like you're just making up statements, making things up. You're dealing with people who's been House of Prayer members for more than 50 years, 60 years. Some of us have been pastors in the organization. Some of us, well, I won't go there, have been higher than pastors in the organization. Um, and as I've said, I've sat down with bishops in private meetings and I've discussed things with council and chairmans and some of the councilmen in private meetings about personal situations. Um, I, there's not much at all that me personally I'm not aware of. And from the bishop's own mouth, two now have said, I know more about the laws of the house of prayer than everybody in there. Yet, in all of my years, I have not seen, nor have I even heard of men getting sat down for different things. But since you say that, again, it sounds like you're just making things up now because we know of individuals not only that were caught doing all kinds of things to include things worse than sin, and yet they still remain in positions after the things they've done were open and the members of the organization know all about it. We have things that people have been involved in that's been documented and confirmed, and yet they're
Mhm.
still in positions of authority and put there by the bishops themselves. So
Or
again, the
promoted.
information that you're sharing, well, yeah, put into positions by the bishops themselves, which included promotions. Um, so the information that you're sharing, all we ask is that, you know, we be honest and truthful, that we're not trying to mislead or deceive anyone. Um, we've had enough of that and still enduring that coming from our leaders in the organization. Um, but at any rate, um, Miss Smith says, at Alicia, baby girl, do you have pictures of the crowd at memorial service? We've been waiting for that. No one has produced pictures for us as of yet. I have one picture that I showed coming from inside the service at the convention center, and it showed one half, maybe, maybe one third of the seats being empty, maybe one third. And complete sections more than ever. But again, um, Alicia says Moses committed murder. Peter turned his back on Jesus, and those things are not. Um, yeah, those things are not
They have nothing to do with the topic.
right. I was going to say something else, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. Um, Again, it just shows that you're just trying to defend now for the sake of defending. Uh, Alicia says you shouldn't leave your child unattended anywhere. What am I missing? Ms. Korean says no one cares about the crowd during any services. This video is about taking care of our children. Alicia says Gldnboy, was this inside of the church or something outside in someone's personal home? This is a real issue. We need to talk openly. Please share their names so we can protect our youth. Let's take care of our children. Sharing the names and videos will be the biggest help. Something this serious, we need names. This should be shared with the police and authorities. Any man who sees the video and not report it is part of the problem. No, you are part of the biggest problem, not only in this organization, but in any and every organization. And people like this, that no matter what they see in front of them that's wrong, you go through great lengths to protect and defend the actions of leaders that you simply like. That is the biggest problem in any organization. When the scripture tells us not only that the Father has no respect of persons, but we're also supposed to practice not having respect of persons. And no matter who it is, if you do wrong, you're supposed to be held accountable. This is what judgment is all about. Because all of us, when we go before the Father in judgment,
Hmm.
you will not get a pass because he favors you more than anybody else,
Right.
because you're a friend of someone or you know someone. No,
Hmm.
it's not going to work there. And it
Or
should
because
not,
you was the bishop's driver.
right? All of that. Mm-mm. We're supposed to simply show accountability towards anyone and everyone, no matter who they are, what they do, period. If you can't do that, you should not serve in any position where you're over people. Is that just that plain and clear?
Absolutely.
If you're going to have picks and favoritism, then you are not qualified to serve in any position of leadership, period. Um, and thank you for that, Golden Boy. Um, Ms. Green says, yes, Moses did commit murder and Moses was not allowed to go to the promised land as a result of it. So, what is your point compared to what this video is about? Um, just a quick thing on that subject. The murder that Moses committed was not held against him by the Father, by the Creator. The Creator never, ever um, made a point pertaining to Moses taking the life of an Egyptian. Uh, in fact, it was after he committed murder that he was still chosen by the Creator to do what he did, right? Um, So Elisha, understand again, we're holding people accountable for what they did. um, and Elisha says, I'm making the point that because Moses did evil, we don't throw away the entire Bible is my point. Well, we don't throw away what Moses did either, but the creator himself chose to use Moses. Um, and anyway, again, we have to keep everything in perspective. Um, Elisha says, anyone who sees wrongdoing against kids and doesn't report it makes me question them. Ms. Karina, Elisha, you say you want to understand. Stop trying what's not important and listen so you can learn. Elisha, that's why I'm trying to figure out the goal of this. Elisha, a child got abused. Miss Mintz, Lord. We need names. I'll personally report them. Someone send me the video. The longer we keep them in power, the more will be hurt. Uh, Matter of fact, whenever we do another more videos, uh, Gldnboy, whenever we see this going on, we're just going to stop the individual from commenting. They can keep listening, but we'll uh,
Solid.
cut their comments to a minimum when it begins to become rant like this. um, we need names. I'll personally report them. Someone send me the video. The longer we keep them in power, more will be hurt. And that falls on Gldnboy and others who have seen this is sickening. But again, Alicia, you're actually speaking about the longer we keep him in power, you're actually speaking about the leader himself. That comment you just made, the longer you keep him in power, that comment goes back to the actual bishop. Um, so again, let me go back down. Okay. Da, 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 da. Those did commit murder. Heath, you say you want to understand. Sometimes what's not important unless you learn. Um, Mikey Williams, who's being discussed in this tape? Elder Redfern question. Yeah, Mikey, we weren't bringing up any names of anyone in any uh, particular incident. We're actually talking about the subject itself, because whether it's one individual that people may be aware of, the fact is, and the reality is, that there are multiple individuals doing things like this. And we should not target one individual that the members have a video surfacing about. We should hold accountable any individual doing anything that goes against any law, rule, protocol, procedure, or policy. So our aim is not to target individuals, but to utilize any incident that involves an individual that comes to our knowledge, but to talk about that subject so that the individual who comes into the awareness of the members who involve themselves in whatever, the subject matter can be our discussion so that we can hold accountable people that involve themselves in that behavior. Um, because of course we know this is not just one person. As Mint says, at Alicia, baby girl, listen to what Gldnboy is saying, right? Be Mevdaman, hello everyone, hello, hello. Miss Mint says, definitely not a lie. Miss Karine, now, at Alicia, are you going to report your Addie for the same behavior? Um, right. And we'll, this is where we were talking about earlier, because the law opens up the idea that if there's a rumor, that rumor will be investigated so that we can put it to bed. Well, that includes rumors about anyone. And as it was said earlier, there are now rumors of things that involve other leaders. And since we're talking about the law, what sense is there having a law if the law is not going to be followed or enforced? So, you all tell us, as members of the organization, are you all in favor of laws being followed and enforced, or are you more in favor of covering up individuals because they are members of leadership positions? You all let us know. Um,
Put it in the chat.
yeah, yeah.
Put it in the
Grace,
chat.
peace, and love, everyone. Hello, Grace. Hello, 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 hello. Uh, glad you could be on tonight. Miss Mintz, Alicia, sweetheart, it's too explicit to share. We cannot do that. Right. Um, thank you, Miss Mintz. Notes and Notions Hub. It's not a rumor. I just seen the video via screen share. And it's definitely the person that we talked about before. Right. Um, Mikey says the person is a youth evangelist. That video of him and his acts is known about. Yet he's placed in such a position. And this is what we were saying earlier. This draws a lot of questions as well as attention towards um, the bishop, because it was the bishop that put this individual in the position that he's now in. It was the bishop that made the individual um, the office, the title that he's now in. Um,
And it
so,
suggest, in my opinion,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, in my opinion, it suggests that the leader has no integrity, none whatsoever. And but the thing about it is it also goes to what I stated earlier. It suggests that it's a culture and it leaves room for speculation about what I
Certain
suggested
things.
earlier. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll leave it there.
Right. And what we're getting at is looking at certain patterns, looking at certain behaviors,
Absolutely.
what Gldnboy is talking about. If you have a thing that looks strange, this is odd. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? And then you do it again. And people say, wait a
Hmm.
minute, this is odd. What's going on here? And then you do it again.
Right.
After a certain number of times, it's no longer odd. It no longer is strange. It begins to beg the question, and those questions change pertaining to the situation. And this is where, when it comes to rumors, those rumors are investigated to ensure that other questions don't have to come up, because something is going to be done if rumors are found to be uh, valid. Um, in this particular
Well,
situation, go ahead.
I'll say this. In said footage, it suggests that this individual has an appetite for what was witnessed. What I mean by that is that it suggests that this is something they are very, 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 very comfortable with. I mean, comfortable enough to, to involve the three individuals that I witnessed in the one video. Um, so, the best advice I can say is, although we are not talking about youth, we are talking about an appetite. So keep your well-mannered, good behaved children and the bad ones too, every last one of them, close, close, close. You need one of them leashes. We would see folk from other ethnicities years ago with the leash on the baby's wrist. That's almost what you need in the house of prayer right now, is a leash on your children's arm all the way up to 21 to
It
make sure that they
stems,
safe.
and all of this behavior stems again to leadership. And the point that we're getting at is these things simply need to be addressed. And there's no excuse whatsoever to justify this behavior. And there's no excuse whatsoever to leadership to justify leaders not doing anything about this behavior whatsoever. No excuse for it. And this is why we have been engaging and making members aware of what's going on so that the members can see what's taking place and the need to fix these issues. And since leadership has not engaged in fixing these issues, what happens? What's the next course of action when you have somebody in a position of authority and they're not engaging to fix issues?
Well, speaking about a culture, I mean,
In any organization, even in politics, if there's a leader
okay.
that's not taking care of issues, right? What
Hmm.
is it that, I mean, we all
Oh,
know
they vote them out. They vote
they
them
get them
out.
out, right? They
Yeah,
get
they
them
vote
out.
them out. They fire them.
And that way it's done. Let's move on. They don't get
Hmm.
into the specifics. They don't get into the this and the that. It's done. Let's move on. That's
Yeah,
where we're at. We're talking about
yeah,
100 years of this type of behavior. So going
absolutely.
back to Alicia's comment earlier, this is not 100 years of success. This is not 100 years of growth and prosperity. This is 100 years of something else. Um, so this is why we have individuals here trying to make the members aware because we care enough about not only this organization, but the direction of the organization and the protection and the safety and the well being of the members. And if the leadership does not care, if the leadership is silent about all of these issues that we're making you aware of, then that should make everything easy when it comes to the membership. What to be done about this situation? That's the easy solution. And the answer is we've been saying you have to change leadership, period, and point blank.
Yep.
Right? So this is just one more thing, one
It
more
makes it look
embarrassment,
like. Hmm.
one more humiliation, right? This is what Gldnboy is getting at. This is what Ms. Mintz was getting at. This is what other members are getting at. These incidents are just piled up and nothing being done about it. So again, let's go ahead to the rest of these comments. Ms. Mintz says, Mikey, known about. In other words, what do you mean known about? Mikey says, yep, it's how I knew who was being spoken of because these things are known about, is what he's saying. Respectfully, I myself deleted what was sent to me because apparently he's saying he knew about this. And other individuals, they're saying that they knew about individuals. And if they're getting a video, then obviously, well, we know was Mike popping up on the video. And it's like, I don't want to see that. Um, Josh White, there are too many double standards in the house of prayer, and it shows. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And anytime you have a double standard, what does that mean for the leadership? What should be done if there's a double standard?
Impeach.
There you go. Remember that song, Bye Bye Miss American Pie?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Um,
sir.
gotta go, gotta go. Not insulting. These are facts. What if you have leaders that's going to stand up and do right all the time? How would that change any organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Mikey says, ma'am, no real man wants to see that. I say this respectfully. Said individuals should not be in a position over people when they are dealing with a demonic spirit within themselves. That part, that part. And we have individuals all over the place, right, that should not be in positions. And we have individuals in positions that's covering up for those individuals. So, what is it that I've said? Got to,
I mean, can I say something?
yeah,
I'm just gonna put it out like this, since you know we have not mentioned anyone's names, but the names have been dropped in the comments. It's a pretty good chance that the individuals that are involved in this could be in the chat and just not saying anything. If you're in the chat, let us know. I'll shoot you the link. You can come up and we can have the respectful conversation right here on our platform with all due respect. If it's the person who might have been mentioned, if you have commentary, feel free. We will handle you with care and with love. But now we have a space where we're not the only ones with the microphone, and everyone is here. We do what we call open fellowships here. We're not here hogging the show. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, like you can let us know what it is. Maybe someone blackmailed you. Maybe, it could be anything why this thing is floating around. But if anything, we still need to know how to come at you with this, because we may actually need to rally around you and support you. But we need to know where you stand in this, or what your position is, or are you actually sending this thing out, you know, because it's cool and this how you and your homies get down. Because from what I saw, it looked like the person in the video.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. All
Uh,
right.
but see, and this is the thing, everyone. Um, what Golden Boy is getting at is we need to address these issues. It's frustrating
Right.
for many people to keep on seeing these types of things covered up. Nothing is said about it, nothing is done about it. Um, and it draws a lot of individuals into heated conversation because, quite frankly, people get mad at people being hurt, people being embarrassed, people being ridiculed. More importantly, the favoritism when they see individuals being set up to be removed from positions who's done nothing wrong, but individuals within leadership setting people up who's taking a stand for what's right, who's doing things right, and
But
who's
that's
walking by a certain standard. And yet, those are the ones being penalized based on lies, and people who are doing things wrong are being pushed forward based on cover ups, right?
hmm
So, this is what Golden Boy is getting at, these conversations being held because it's going on. It's all true. They're not allegations. And something simply needs to be done about these types of situations, period. I am saying
Absolutely.
instead of doing something about the situations, it's an easy fix. Change the
Absolutely.
entire leadership,
Hmm.
clean house so that we can clean up. And that's the end of it. By
Absolutely.
targeting certain individuals, the same thing is going to continue to go on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So unfortunately, even when he talked,
Agreed. No, I totally get that and agree with that.
yeah, even what he said about the culture, right? When you go to remove a cancer, the hope is that you get all of it out. Because if you leave a little
Hmm.
bit, what does the scripture say about leaven? A little leaven leavens the whole lump.
Hmm.
If you leave
Yep.
anybody anywhere who's involved in covering up or favoritism, not standing up for what's right, not being accountable, whatever. And
Hmm.
this goes from every single pastor all the way up. Every single man who's been a part of a situation where you can come
Yeah.
forward and speak out. And I know some of you are asking, well, why not the elders too? But there's elders right now that's hidden that many of you don't know about. And there's some elders hidden by those in positions because they're also involved in a lot of things that you don't know about. However, the easiest way to clean this up is to remove everyone in leadership and start over. And that begins with a
Hmm.
board of directors and the replacement of the CEO. Everything gets cleaned up and there's a fresh start to initiate a whole new direction for this 501c3.
Oh, um, I'm also aware that said individual reported back to allegedly reported back to the bishop that this was an old video and someone was trying to set them up and expose them. I want to be very clear that that if that is the case, that is not the case over here. We are only reporting on what's already been released, what's already known, what's already common knowledge, as was stated in the comments tonight. Um, you know, so I mean, many of us have heard rumors of this footage, but never seen it and was hoping that it was just a lie, you know. So I just want to make sure I put that out there.
On that note,
No.
how many times have we heard about celebrities that are in their prime and yet
Hmm.
something surfaces from their past?
Right.
And given to what it was that surfaced from their past, the networks say, well, no, we cannot allow this. And even though this is your past, we cannot allow ourselves to continue to support you because of what it means for the public.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
We know of individuals who've had channels and were very successful.
Yeah.
One I love to death. This lady was a cook, had two restaurants, uh, uh,
Hmm.
a cooking channel. Everyone loved this woman because of her beautiful, beautiful personality and the things that she would do and her cooking. I mean, the show was just top notch. But something came out that she had done over 40 years ago, and that one
I
incident
remember.
had her removed, and
I
no one talks
remember.
about it at all. Another young
Yeah.
lady, same thing when it came out that there was some inside trading, right?
Hmm.
Not only was she pulled from the network, but she actually had to go to jail. My
Hmm.
point is, people can try to justify just because they like certain people, but
Hmm.
it's a given that you're simply showing favoritism, period. So when it comes to accountability, what people do wrong, is still wrong. And if you claim, well, that was my past, well, yes. However, when it comes to your past, we don't see individuals pertaining in or participating in certain things in the scripture that's being forgiven. Oh, well, that's just your past. No, quite frankly, in the scripture, certain things would have you no longer here. And so we all have, yes, an opportunity for soul salvation, but an opportunity for soul salvation does not mean that you're qualified for a leadership role. Leadership means that you set an example for the people that you claim to
Mm-hmm.
be over. And anything that comes up that says that this is a poor example of leadership, you should not push forward, and you should not
Mm-hmm.
just simply sweep to the side. So, at any rate, this is where we are. Thank you for sharing that as well, so that we could touch on whether past or present, this type of behavior
Mm-hmm.
is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, last thing, for individuals that go to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, do you all understand why they say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic? Because one temptation can put you
Mm-hmm.
right back there all over again.
Mm-hmm.
When people have something in their past, it does not matter. One temptation can put you there all over again. This is why when politicians are vetted, when people are vetted for public office, if you have anything, they go back to your childhood. If you have anything whatsoever that's going to look like it's a problem in the eyes of the public, you will not get that job.
Yep. Yep.
Period. It does not matter how
Yep.
long ago. And when public office officials, things are discovered about them, they are immediately told by their public relations officer, you need to retire. You need to dismiss yourself, or this is going to get ugly and you may end up doing time. Especially if you're questioned under oath and you perjure yourself, you're setting yourself up. The easiest thing to do is to simply resign and step down. And that's why we see politicians doing that. It is the smartest thing to do. But when you're in a position of authority and you're covering up other people and they're wrong, that
Mm-hmm.
is the, anyway, it's not wise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no check and balance system. Exactly what Mikey's saying is what I'm talking about. Uh, Grace says, please stay in prayer, everyone, and please understand this is a spiritual battle going on. I did not see the video, but I'm not surprised about anything. God will expose all the hidden activities. Absolutely. I missed one. Maria says that video cannot be shared on this platform. It's vulgar and beyond inappropriate. Right? Um, yes. And once in an investigation, they don't show the evidence anyway to the public. Most of the time, in investigation, evidence is shown to the people who are in the courtroom, and sometimes it's not shown to everybody in the courtroom. But once evidence is shown in the courtroom, sometimes that evidence is um, judged as not being deemed worthy for the public to see. So everything does not have to be seen by everyone. As long as the officials see the evidence, they're able to judge rightfully on that case as to whether or not people need to be penalized.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't always need proof. We just need people in positions to do their job,
Solid.
right? By Josh says, my sister was told she couldn't play her horn in the house of prayer because she was gay. But several pastors, leaders that preach the same Bible, disobey it and are gay themselves and get away with it. Well, see, here's another problem. This goes back to the conversation that we had in another video, right? Where the interviewer um, the interviewee, the person that was being interviewed, where they shared some things. And the problem is, y'all doing all kinds of things, and y'all have a problem with me because of this issue. Now, whereas they're saying, I understand this issue and where it can be a problem. However, y'all who find a problem with this don't find a problem with all these other things. And that was a very valid point. Now, this point tonight is, how is it that you're going to have a problem with this person for something that y'all covering up and even exalting these other people for not only actively engaging in certain activities, but you have evidence of it, and people have that evidence in their hands. None of this is okay. None of this is justified. And this is all the more reason why the members need to fix this. By fixing this, you need to understand, going back to what the laws actually said about holding leadership accountable and the responsibilities coming from the federal law to the individuals who are in the positions to hold leadership accountable. And we're going to come back to this um, on Thursday. We're going to come back and we're going to have discussion about this at great length and in detail. Uh, and thank you, Josh. That's what I mean when I say there are double standards. Absolutely, there are double standards. And there should not be double standards. There should not be any double standards at all. The same thing that is held to one person needs to be held to everyone. Mister, what do you believe? We can talk openly. It would involve more listening and less talking in order for there to be a productive discourse. Right. Most of the time, I believe what Mr. What do you believe is getting at, most of the time, many people who engage in conversation cannot truly conversate because they're not hearing the person talking. They're simply waiting to share their point of view. But that's a very, very, that's a valid point, and we all need to make sure that we're paying close attention to the dialogue so that we can hear one another in order to have beneficial dialogue, productive dialogue. Mikey says, at Alicia, you want a video? Let's talk about misconduct. Are you not aware of the ongoing affair, the Elder Monroe? Ooh. Ah. Yet he's still before the people. Um, Again, many members around the organization are aware of different things. Our point on the channel is that none of these things are okay. And each and every one of these things serves just one more reason why there is a need to fix this entire problem and change the leadership. Because I have maintained the entire leadership is guilty of violating many, many, many laws. That is my accusation. That is my allegation. This is what I've said from the jump, that these leaders, including the bishop himself, are guilty of breaking hundreds of laws. The sheer fact of the matter is that we, the people, are responsible by not doing anything about it. We're going to be talking about that more. Miss Maria at Grace, you're absolutely right. It is a spiritual battle. We must be in prayer for truth and for a love of the truth, no matter what the truth means for each of us personally. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Boo. Um, Maria. um, Mikey says, if you know Redfern and you don't know about that tape, I'm going to say that you are trolling. In other words, what Mikey is saying, if you know this individual and you say that you don't know about the video, I think you're just on here because you have an agenda and your purpose is not to find out anything, it's not to learn anything, but your purpose on this channel is to be a distraction. That's what Mikey's saying. Mr. What do you believe? At Alicia, just ask one of your fellow House of Prayer members for the video. If someone outside got it, it came from a member. If somebody outside the House of Prayer got it, it came from someone within. Oh. Um, Miss Mintz at Mikey, what? Yeah, Mikey says it, Miss Mintz. Everybody knows about him and hope that nothing is done. Ah, and again, unfortunately, you know, people keep using terms like everybody, nobody, everybody knows, nobody wants to talk about, right? When you have that type of dialogue being held in the organization, something is wrong with leadership. We're going to come back to this. Ms. Mintz. Oh, okay. Yes, I heard that right there. Right there. I heard it. Mikey said, nah, not a rumor. What's in your face is not a rumor. Ms. Mintz, child. He's saying it's so outright open. And no one's saying anything needs to be done to stop it. Individuals are being put forward in their wrong, in their sin, in their violations of law, sitting right there in front of you, put there by leadership to include the general council and our bishop. Nothing being done. So who's at fault? The general council and the bishop. Uh, Notes and Notions Hub at Alicia. There are so many young people that have been abused that I know of, but nothing has been done. It's more than two examples that he knows of, and nothing's been done. People, members, no, I'm gonna say this last. By Josh, the crowds have been indeed getting smaller. The only difference is that everyone has been gaining weight, so it still looks the same. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Mm-mm. Um. Mm-mm. Oh, let's continue. By grace, please, everyone, pray for everyone associated with the house of prayer. God is in control, not the bishop. God deserves the praise and worship, not the bishop. You are asking for trouble to praise and worship. The bishop is asking for trouble, is what she's saying, right? Ms. Kareem, birds of a feather, birds of a feather, right? Flock together. I have marched in the parade when it was pouring. Yes. Um, Others, excuse me, have also marched when it's raining. The rain was not an excuse for people who's trying to justify the fact that there was not a lot of people there. You cannot use that excuse for members of this organization who know better, right? Um, B. Meverman, that's right. I remember those days. Only standing room in McCullough time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Seriously.
You couldn't get up the steps in the vestibule. People, I remember the doors would be jam packed and you could not close the door, the front door of the house of prayer. I remember you could not close the front door because people were standing in the door just to hear what's going on inside that pack. Um,
Yeah, when the crowds outside was the overflow.
right. And people everywhere. You start off with an empty trash can in the morning. By the evening, you have a pyramid on the top of that can. People trying to push stuff down so they can fit more trash on it. And when they couldn't, you'd see trash around the trash can. One day,
Yep.
um, Henry says, "Man, I just seen a video of a gal." And they said, if he not sat down, I am out. Henry, work with us. I'm going to tell you how before we close out. We are trying to do what is necessary to get the people to stand up because the members are the ones that have the authority and the power in this organization. They just did not know it. We're making them aware. The members have the opportunity to change the leadership in here. The members not only have the opportunity, but the members have the authority and the members have the power to do so. Hang tight, stay with me before we close out. I'm going to tell everybody what you all need to be doing. Okay. Um,
And also the email is on the ticker right now too. If you would like to reach out, right now it's going across as we stand for right 2024 at gmail.com. So I just wanted to point out that that's there and that goes straight to the Lewises.
okay. Y'all just heard Gldnboy share with you um, to get people to email us. Uh, Anybody that does not want to stand for this, anybody that is against this, anybody that's not in support of this, anybody who's not going to cover this and protect this type of behavior, anybody who's sick and tired of this type of report, these types of incidents, these types of things being covered up by leadership, anybody, email us. We will not share your information. It will be completely confidential. Anyone and everyone. And I will contact you personally. I will contact you personally to let you know what it is I cannot say online. Anyone. Um, S. Mintz says, Henry Dime, we need full reformation and a revolution. Leadership needs to go. It's just that simple, right? Just that simple. That's Kareen. Yes, this is, woo. And here we have another individual who's fed up, apparently. Miss Maria, yes, ma'am, at Miss Mintz. B. Mevdom and Pastor Lewis, thank you for exposing and telling the raw truth and facts. Absolutely. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that people understand all this stuff needs to stop. And all these people, these fake and false leaders need to go. Even if you don't go, you need to get sat down. Um, and reality, how can you sit anybody else down? How can
Mm-hmm.
you be penalizing anyone else while you doing 100 times worse than these people that you're making stuff up on to use to sit
Mm-hmm.
them down?
Yeah.
Right? We know of several people who got their credentials taken, their titles taken, their position removed for no reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
None. And it's apparent that those individuals were targeted because they were standing up to oppose individuals that's involved in a bunch of stuff that the leadership worked together to get rid of people who standing up for what's right.
Mm-hmm.
People, this is what y'all need to understand. Don't leave. Pay attention. Reach out to us by email so that we can fix this. And this, we're not
Absolutely.
talking about waiting no year to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Henry says, Adelicia, uh, I got you. And I'm sure Henry's talking about the video. At Maria says, hi there to B. Mevderman. This is, yeah, B. Mevderman. Mikey says, what service were you in? Grace, what service were you in? I think that's a military question or a question pertaining to the House of Prayer services. Let us know what you mean, Mikey, if you don't mind. Grace says, this is spiritual blindness in action. So the truth can be seen or does not matter. This is an example of Jim Jones' power in action. Please, as a spiritual family, let's show deep love and grace. Absolutely.
My
Absolutely.
goodness.
And while we're showing that love and grace, we need to also do what's necessary to fix what's going on. We cannot leave corrupt leadership in leadership positions. Let me say that again. We cannot leave corrupt leadership in leadership positions. If you do, the corruption will continue and become more corrupt.
Yeah, and the blood will be on your hands.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, I mean, so at what point do we stop allowing that to be the case? At what point do we the people say, hey, like, I'm no longer with the program. This was working for us, or it was, but now it's a situation where it's working for y'all but it's not working for me, and I have to stand up for truth and wave the red flag, like, hey, 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 are you not seeing this? Oh, I know you're not, because I wasn't, but I still have to sound the alarm, you know yeah, kind of like pigs being led to the slaughter. And you know, I don't know.
Mhm. But it's exactly right. Um, because we are all a part of this one organization. Just because you like somebody does not make it right for you to protect that somebody. The person that you might like and you protect may happen to be and is the very person that's impacting this organization to make it embarrassing, a humiliation, wrong, even down to unlawful for everyone in here. So, this is where we go back to what the laws of the land say are a problem when it comes to individuals who are in position to show oversight for anybody who's in positions of authority. And so we're going to be covering this. Matter of fact, like I said, we'll come back to this on Thursday. Mikey Williams, Miss Mintz is laughing. Thanks. I'm just saying because I was there Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so now I understand. What service were you in? He was implying for Elisha, saying that it's the largest crowd ever. And what Mikey is saying is no. What service were you in? Because what you saying right now, I didn't see that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey. They said I was there Saturday and Sunday. And if that's the case, no, what you're saying is not true at all. Be them in that grace. That's right. God is always in control. Miss Mintz at Mikey Williams. Okay. Yes, we heard the crowd was very low. That's Kareem's. Why he hit the rock when he was told to speak to it. That's why he wasn't allowed to go to the promised land. That's right. That's right. I'm laughing because Miss Kareem went back to make sure.
Mhm.
Make sure. But that's exactly right. It was because Moses did not glorify the Creator by talking to a rock to give water to Israel.
Mhm.
It was to give glory to the Creator. By hitting the rock, it gave the impression that water was delivered out of the anger of Moses. But had he just spoken to the rock, then the Creator would have been glorified
Mhm.
for producing water from a rock, right?
My.
Mm.
That's a beautiful point.
Um, and Mikey says, okay, yes, we heard the crowd was very low from his mints. Mikey, that's not why he didn't make it to the promised land. Okay, we had talked about that. Uh, Mikey, I was responding to Alicia. Mikey says, in that case, the whole governing body has to go. That part, right, that part. That's what we're saying, the entire governing body. Mikey, reach out to us, email me. Same thing, Henry, but Mikey, email me. Ms. Corrine, laws being followed and enforced, regardless to who is involved, is what we're looking for. Right. That's the
Mhm.
necessary part. Maria says, anyone who's truly interested in understanding what's going on here, I encourage you to watch the videos. They literally explain everything in excruciating detail, right? It's a lot of information. It's boring information to some, but that's why you're missing out because the law is boring. And if you don't understand the law, then anybody can take advantage of you and take every single thing you have, plus uh, uh, what you don't know that you have. And this is exactly what has happened here because the leadership has taken from these people and they've taken things that they don't even know that they have, me included. So, you all, I cannot stress to you more than what I already have. Email us. Email us so that we can get this thing wrapped up. Again, I'm going to talk to you more about this later on tonight. Anyone who's truly interested in understand, thank you, Boo. Um, Miss Mintz says, Mikey, correct. It's past corrupt, way past corrupt. Um, Maria says, facts. Mikey says, no lie there. Are you aware that the United House of Prayer is a foreign nonprofit? Yes, and what that means, Mikey, um, uh, for those of you that were not on this video, a foreign nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
does not mean it
From
is
overseas.
right. It doesn't mean that it's from overseas when we use that term foreign. It means in a state recorded document, if the entity, the business, is incorporated in some other state outside of that state that you're operating in, a license is a permit to do business in that state. So since you're a nonprofit and you're soliciting from that state permissions in order to solicit within that state as a nonprofit, you need to name who you are and where you're incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
Any business that is not incorporated within that same state, it is determined that you are a foreign nonprofit and not a local nonprofit. So you're foreign simply because you're outside of the state boundaries. Even if you're incorporated in the state next door, you're still legally a foreign nonprofit. You're only foreign to that state's legislature and that state's laws. And that's what that means for all of you who don't understand the term that Mikey just used. Uh, Zalika, hello. Minister Lewis, to the platform, continued prayers for strength. May the Most High guide and protect you and the members of the platform in all of your endeavors to share truth, abundant peace. Maria says, and coming from myself and everyone as well, thank you. Thank you, sister. We appreciate you, Salika, and your brother for all that you guys are doing. Looking forward to talking to you to see what we can do together. Mikey says, you seem to have an answer for everything. That's kind of funny. Talking about Elisha, I believe. Sounds like something Trump said when asked about how he evaded paying those taxes. uh, and some people are in agreement with certain politicians and politics. Some people are not. So that's one of those statements that some people are going to agree with, some are not, depending on your political affiliations. We understand everybody has a right to their political opinions as well. Mikey says, when did I say anything was a rumor? I don't deal in them, not in rumors. And that too, I believe, was for Elisha. Excuse me. Grateful for it all. How are you? This organization has turned into a big, nasty, unholy mess. Yes, unfortunately, this organization has been that for many, many, many years. And we're trying to do what we can to turn that around, to fix that. So we're asking everybody out there to join in with us. Let us know, email us. Let us know that you're in support of what we're doing so that we can involve you on what's coming up. Ms. Corrine says that's a good one by Josh White. um, Miss Maria says, I don't know how anyone could defend our leadership after that last video. The last video involved a testimony of a young lady who had endured some extremely challenging situations in her past. And many members' hearts and sympathy went out to this individual. And we love this individual. And our intent is to show everyone else who goes through any type of suffering, any type of hurt, any type of harm and dangers, especially endured by leadership of our organization. We want you to know that we love you. You're not in this alone. You can reach out and we will throw the full weight of what we're doing behind our efforts to help you also. Uh, we have some things taking place currently that no one knows anything about, no one will know anything about. And if you are an individual, um, for whatever reason, who has been afraid or too scared to come forward, by all means, know that if you reach out to us, we will include you in some of the things that we're doing for you to understand um, why I'm saying what I'm saying when talking about the events from last weekend not being a success for Mr. Cunningham. For all of you members, all of you non members, all of you past members who are no longer attending and participating for whatever reason, if you are not in support of this leadership and all of the cover ups and all of the activities, if you're a member who loves the organization, if you claim to love the organization and its members, then by all means reach out to us. Let us know where you stand so that we can move forward with some other information to alert the authorities to a string of events that, again, you all don't know anything about. And these things may very well um, cause some things to be done that every single member will uh, more than likely be extremely happy to know, especially to see and take note of um, any of the things that's coming up as far as the change is concerned. So at this time, without any further ado, I want to thank all of you for joining in with us and for listening in. I want to thank you all for your continual support. Alicia, I want to invite you also um, to pay a little bit more attention to some of the other information that we put out so that you will see 100% um, that the things that we're talking about, none of this is made up, and all, for the most part, can be backed up and supported. Without any further ado, Golden Boy, do you have anything you'd like to add, say, or touch on?
No, I just think that this is a much needed subject. Actually, yes. I would like to just make mention to um other men, because oftentimes this is a subject that we don't speak on, but um just know that we see you. I'll say that we see you, man, and we'll be reaching out via social media really soon. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because normally this is a subject that involves either a certain age group
Mm-hmm.
or a certain gender.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure that we all understand that these things are not limited to any age,
Right. Mm-hmm.
that they have involved all age groups, and they're certainly not um, limited to one gender.
Right.
So, with that said, as serious as well as sensitive as this subject is, our hope is that our members are paying attention, that we are not being quiet about it, that we are being as loud as possible about it, that people know and realize that we're not going to be quiet about it. Um, and quite frankly, for them to also understand that accountability at some point in time is coming. If you are of the impression that you got by, mm-mm. Um, there's way too many things and way too many people with the opportunity to do certain things that may be coming up in the very near future to ensure that these things are done no longer, and to make sure that these things are put in a position where people will be held accountable. Um, and by that, again, we're talking about all the way up the chain.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, I say again, thank you to everyone. We thank you for your time, your attention, and we hope that you enjoy the remainder of your evening. It's now going on 1 a.m. Eastern. And that said, we hope that you all have a pleasant sleep, a wonderful night's rest, and we hope to see you in the next video. Kristen,
Yeah, good night.
you
See
guys
y'all
soon.
on the next one. We closing out. We closing out. We not even gonna let it rock tonight. Good night, everybody.
All right, now.
And he'll talk to you. That's the reason why Jesus said, take my